welcome to today's Value Talk. And uh, this is our second talk on the same topic, that is facility management as a career option. And today we have one of the industry leaders in this particular domain, Aneesh Kadyan, Commander Aneesh Kadyan. He is Executive Director in CBRE, and he oversees the growth and development of property management business for India region. And I have the figures in front of me, which is pretty impressive. 180 million square feet spread across 200 buildings in the commercial, retail, and residential sectors. Wow, that's impressive. So, and just listen to Anish sharing his insights and mm, uh, take the best out of today's talk. Clarify all your doubts about this domain if you are interested in making a career in this particular domain. So, welcome, Anish. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Value Talk, Vipul and Manish. Thank you for having me here. It's quite an honor and great to meet everybody, all ex-defense forces people. So yeah, good to be here on a
Yeah,
Friday
you.
evening without the drinks also, but it's okay.
Sure. Soon we plan to have a few sessions, face-to-face sessions, and I'm sure at that time you will be able to spare some time, and then we will be we'll follow it up with the drinks also,
Look
Anyway,
forward to that.
as far as this particular talk is concerned, we are also aiming this especially for the armed forces officers who are trying to hang the uniform now. They are more likely to hang their uniform, or some of them are already in the CV street. So the audience mainly comprises in four categories. One, not from armed forces background. Second, people who are leaving army or armed forces after 5 to 10 years. Then we have people who have just completed 15 or 20 years, and they are in their early 40s, 44, 43, 44. And then we have officers who are in their 50s. And then there are certain officers who are interested for their spouse. They want to know about their spouse also, whether they can make a career in this particular domain or not. So this is the broad category which of our audience. This video will be uploaded on YouTube also, so it will have a wider reach. Uh,
Okay.
so that when we progress during the talk, you should keep this audience in mind. So that is why I am trying to give you a background, right?
Perfect.
So, Anish, before you, we had a similar talk with Major Madhvi Jadhav, uh, and she also gave very useful information, tips, and it was very well received by the audience. So I just want to know, just for the broader understanding of everyone, see, there's a lot has changed in the facility management domain. What used to be the run of the mill housekeeping kind of a thing earlier, and now it is an amalgamation of so many things. Technology has a major role to play. It is space management, real estate management, smart workplaces. So many things have come into it. IoT, etc. Everything is being used. So much of data is there. The young workforce, they want to have smarter offices. Everything is changing. People are becoming demanding, and it is expected also that the workplaces will be like this. So uh, what all has changed since the time you have been in CBRE for quite some time now? So what has changed?
Okay. Okay. So, to answer your question, nothing has changed. While you said run-of-the-mill facilities management, housekeeping, it was never that. I joined CBRE right after I left the Navy in 2005, and I
I
joined.
think because that was the perception people have
No,
been
no, no, no,
having
no,
about.
no, 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 no. This is not about what you said. I'm just saying that even at that time and now, a lot of things are the same. Yes, some things have changed. I think what is really changed is people's perception. Uh, Facilities management is new to India. That's why people are still now trying to relate to it. It's a very established, I would say, function of any organization in the West or in developed markets. It came to India when IPCs like CBRE and all, they came into the country in the mid 90s. So facilities management has always played a major role in any organization. It's just now getting into prominence because there are more people, more organizations. The real estate market has become much bigger. So yes, there's more awareness about it. But it's always been an important function in any organization. It keeps the organization ticking. It's not actually a function, it's a business enabler, and that's how we kind of term it these days. And a very large amount of the budget is managed by the real estate and the facilities teams. So they contribute to the bottom line, to the productivity, to the well-being, everything that you can think of. It's as important. It's as important as the main business itself. IT services, your HR, everything is all it's an integral part of businesses. I think what has really changed is the segmentation of businesses in facilities management. So while you said that you had Madhvi, I think she was from one of these investment banking firms. But there are now multiple business verticals within this whole space of facilities management that you call it. It's more or less, it's called corporate workplace services. Facilities management is old school. So corporate workplace services is what occupiers use, like American Express, Standard Chartered Bank, all these large corporates. They will have people who are corporate real estate professionals who look after the employees. Like you said, many of the factors about space management, their engineering systems, they have data centers, all those things are managed by them. And then you have experience services. Now that's becoming as a buzzword. You have people in the health and safety, you have people in security. Then there is this whole new, I would say, focus on the developer community. So developers, they're the ones who provide the space for corporates in their buildings, but somebody has to manage the whole building. So that's another core area, and that's the vertical I'm now heading in CBRE. So yeah, I think there's many more specializations which have come up, and that means there are many more opportunities for anybody who wants to get into this sector. But of course, definitely the armed forces people.
Thank you. So, in between, first of all, these days there's a lot of talk about recession setting in, etc., etc. And how is the job prospects in this particular domain?
So I won't talk about recession because that's, I would say, it's a bigger topic. I'm not getting into that. But I think jobs are there at every point in time. When I was leaving, it was a new market. At that time, the Indian economy was just growing, so there were not maybe jobs at that time. So every time there will be something which are going right, some things which may not be going right. But at the current state we are in, where there's a return to work, corporates are now getting more, I would say, they're getting their people back, the expansion plans are starting. So while there are those pressures globally, but I think there's no wrong time for the job market. There will be jobs. There will be jobs for the right people who have the right experience. So I that's my personal opinion. That
no, I fully agree. It's like it's like the property real estate market. Though Vipul doesn't agree with this, but whenever there is whenever you want to sell your house, the market is down, and whenever you want to buy a property, the market is always up. So it's the same here also. Anyway,
so no comments on that because I am from a real estate services company. So no comments on that.
Right, I know. Okay. So, Anish, as I already told you that our audience, as far as the armed forces background people are concerned, they are from three major categories. So we have people in the all of our audience. So we have people who are in say 34, 35 years of age. Then
Mhm.
we have people who are in 44, 42, 44, below 45 kind of thing. And then we have people who are 50 plus also. So if somebody has to, and just assuming that we are talking about armed forces officers who are planning to switch career. So how does this space differ for everyone? Job opportunities.
Okay, so I'm sure most of you would have followed Sachin Tendulkar in some way or the other. He had always, there was a ad he did with Adidas, age is just a number. So I think that's the right way to look at it. While you said there are three segments, but there are roles for each of these, I would say, sort of called segments. And in the private sector, there is age is actually just a number. There could be somebody very senior who could be, senior. I'm talking about the armed forces senior. He could be doing something which maybe even an army captain with say maybe 4 or 5 years experience in the corporate world could also be doing. So outside, I think age is really not that
No,
big
no,
a.
no. I think you didn't get my question, Anish. The question actually is not in that direction. The question is that everyone wants a younger workforce. Younger workforce. It's easier for them to get the job.
That's what I'm saying.
For
It's not. That's what I'm saying. That's not. Uh, that's not.
so
At
so
least, see, I'm talking about. Uh, See, I come from an organization which is it's a business side. I'm from the business side of that organization, right? There are two aspects. Let me just maybe for people in the audience, just to put things in perspective. If you had that call with the earlier, armed forces person, you're saying Major Madhvi, she's with an organization. So within an organization, your facilities management professionals are business enablers. They support the businesses to be productive, to do what they have to do. But uh, most of the jobs that you see these days are with organizations like CBRE and the other players in this industry. Some of them large players, multinational players, even Indian companies. They're all looking at armed forces people as a talent pool. Uh, they are service providers, so you're not actually facility management professionals here. While yes, you're providing facility management services, but you are a business, I would say, a revenue generator for those uh, organizations. While you may be deputed to an account or you might be to a client site, but at the end of the day, you are generating revenue for the parent company. So there's a bit of a difference. So in that case, the hiring is not based on, I would say, younger profile or something. I think sometimes you need experience. So maybe if you want to look at those three categories just to help the people on the call, uh, it's difficult. I don't like when we hire, we don't look at age as the main criteria, unless of course there's a very very senior role that we need where some gray hair is needed. Otherwise, I think maybe to stay with the starting. Uh, uh, Most people will be leaving after about 10, 12 years. That's my general sense in the armed forces who come out in the corporate world, most of them. So that's generally the time when most people, even the civil world, are doing the shift from entry level to mid management. And maybe some of them, if they've done MBAs from good places, they're moving into senior management roles or leadership roles as well. So in my organization, why I particularly head this particular vertical, but there are people who have got about 20 years of service or maybe 18, 19 years of service, and they're at equivalent roles because they started off at that point in time. So from a corporate point of view, they're looking at the experience you bring in, whether it's 30, 35 years as a in the armed forces or maybe even 10 years. At that particular point in time, what role they have at that point in time, that's what is generally looked at. I would say that people who are in their later like 50s and all, this side of the business, there are a lot of people who join corporates like the large IT firms. But this side of the business, where as a service provider, we don't have many of them, not because we don't want to hire them, but it is slightly, the transition is a bit difficult, where you have to interact with a lot of customers, your customer facing roles. So they prefer to be on the client side. That's my experience. So that may be a better option for them.
Okay. So if somebody in 50 plus age wants to make a career in facility management,
Yeah.
so they have what comes out is, so there is a client side and there is a service provider side in the facility management.
Yes.
So
Yes. Mhm.
so that is what uh, people can look at.
So there are two, I would say, avenues where you can look at roles for yourselves, the armed forces people here.
Right, right, right. Okay. So so what is the preparation one has? I mean, if say an officer is uh, coming out, say he has approximately 6 months uh, when one is finally going to hang his uniform, or for that matter, anybody in CV Street who's planning to switch from one career to and now make a career in facility management. So, what is the preparation in 6 months to 1 year? What can they do? What kind of certifications, if at all, it is required, and or MBA or whatever?
Okay, so I think that's a good question, and I think it depends a lot in terms of what that individual wants to do. So, if you want to get into the facilities management side, and that's what we are talking about, uh, my suggestion is that you first understand what this business is. While this is a good platform, but meet up with people, understand what they're going through. Because this, while it may seem very similar to what you do in the armed forces, but it's quite different. It's not just a move and shift, and you're able to do that. The main thing is, especially when you're coming on a service provider side, there is this element of being a service provider, which we never do in the armed forces. So that's something I think my first, I would say, advice or suggestion to anybody who's looking at joining anything, like when you're planning to leave the armed forces, is to plan well in advance. 6 months, I think, is too less. If you know, especially if you're, say, a short service commission officer or even a permanent commission officer, if you're moving out, give yourself enough time to prepare for it. Don't just leave it to the last minute. And I do know a lot of people have done it, and it's worked out for them. It's not that it's not worked out for them, but the earlier you plan, the better it is. I'll give you my example. When I was leaving, I had about a year, and I was I wanted to get into some role which, because I'm an engineer, I wanted to get into a role which had some engineering component, plus it meant of leading teams, and I wanted to be on the business side of things. And I did a bit of research. I read somewhere facilities management, talked to some people. It was very new in India at that time, and I decided, okay, I want to get into this industry. Uh, uh, so you be sure that you want to come into this industry, understand what this industry is about. And whenever anybody comes to me for, when they have postmates or people who are from my network, I do tell them, don't join this industry first. I tell them all the bad things about it, and then tell them to make a decision. So first step, of course, is preparing in time. 6 months, I think, is too less. Try and start your planning a year ahead. And next comes to the certifications. So if you are early in your career, if you are exiting, maybe 5 years, 10 years or something, then definitely certifications do help. My personal opinion is this industry is still maturing. There are certifications like IFMA, IFMA's FM professional certification. There are some certifications which you cannot get unless you're in this industry. Some of them are like, there, for example, like MRICS, or there are a few certifications, but this industry is still maturing. Right now, nobody, when we go to pitch for an assignment to the customer, no customer tells us that, okay, I want a IFMA certified professional, or I want a MRICS professional. It helps in hiring, yes, but no customer is asking for it. But like I said, maybe the younger lot, they can definitely look at certifications. The senior people, like the people who are leaving after 20 years, I personally don't think certifications are a big help. But yes, that bridge course that they have in IIMs these days, that's a big help because it helps you understand business a bit better. And of course, the networking and the connections that you make, that definitely helps. So that would be a good stepping stone into the corporate world. And the certifications, like I said, help you initially if you're younger. But by the time you're at that 20 years, you actually know a lot more than a lot of people on the civil street. You've dealt with so many different kinds of projects, roles, you've led bigger teams, you've led more complex assignments. So those certificates, generally now in the corporate world, people know the value that armed forces people bring. So at that point in time, certificates don't add that much of value to your CV or to your chances of getting hired. I that's
Right,
where I stand on this
right.
one.
How are this is for the audience. Sometimes what happens is that uh, we think we have done a lot and we know a lot, but actually we don't know what we don't know. So in that sense, if you are planning to make a career in this kind of a in this domain, or for that matter any domain, it is always better to do some kind of course. It may be a Udemy course on Udemy or Coursera or whatever, just to get maybe the language, get familiar with the language which is being used in the industry. So it doesn't, uh, it won't harm. And as Anish brought out, and I fully agree with him, that a person who's coming after 20 years of service, he definitely has done a lot of things. And uh, most important is the experience which he brings to the table. So, Anish, what about the salary structures in generally? What is the kind of salary one should expect? Uh, I mean, how does it? Okay, I won't say what is the kind of salary one should expect. How's the growth prospects?
Okay, growth. So I had this very famous, like interesting dialogue with the person who hired me when I joined. He was. No, this is after I joined, not during my interview with that person. He was giving this anecdote about somebody who had in the interview. He asked this question to the person who was hiring him or who was doing the interview. That what are the growth prospects in this company or for me? So that person gave a good laugh. He said, and this is after, not when the interview is going on. He said, "Who knows what growth the future can hold? If the company is doing well, you can go anywhere. If the company is not doing bad and you're a great person, well, maybe you won't get anywhere." So in the corporate sector, my realization is growth is what you make of the growth. Definitely, a lot of other factors play a part, but uh, the Indian market as in general, over the last 10, 15 years that I have been seeing it in the corporate side, is growing. So if you are good at your job, you will generally find growth. There's no defined growth, I would say, in the corporate sector. It is totally up to you as an individual, how you're able to understand the system, understand what's expected from you. I have seen very, very young professionals uh, in a span of 5 years be from just an entry level to heading a business to some people with a lot of experience and not being able to grow further. So in the corporate world, I think growth is up to you totally. That's my thing. And I think the other advantage in the corporate world is you can leave when you want to. It's not like Hotel California where you can go in but you can't leave on your own. So if you're not happy with the growth that you're getting, there are many opportunities in other firms, in other businesses. In armed forces, you know what growth is. 5 years you get this promotion. This. It's all very, very clear. But corporate sector, it's about you. And in facilities management specifically, I think this is a sunrise industry in India. There's a lot happening here. Uh, Corporates who, like especially the Indian large corporates, they are now looking at really taking on this facilities management profession to the next level, like the large MNCs have done already. Uh, Indian conglomerates, they're also looking at professional property management and facility management services and people. So this industry is growing. I'm not giving any numbers, but it's growing at a very, very rapid pace. And if you get in and you are able to get into the right places, I think growth is assured here.
Sure. So thank you, Anish. Actually, it is quite encouraging because you earlier also you mentioned that the industry is still maturing. So that means it's a sunrise industry and the growth prospects are definitely good. Of course, uh, the individual capabilities and performance and so many other things also have to be taken into consideration. One has to put in the effort from his side, and but the opportunity is there.
Yes.
There is possibility. That is the positive side of it.
You gotta focus on yourself, on your faith, on your dreams, on your mind, on your health, yeah. You gotta work,